Hello you guys and welcome to my channel. So today's video is a story time, half about terrible customers. This is probably the worst customer I've had to deal with at the pool, half about my terrible manager at the time. It's kind of both of their faults, to be honest, but we'll get into it. So let's just go right into this video. So I just want to quickly say there's no ill will against this old manager. I worked with this manager before they became the manager, if that makes sense. So I used to work full-time during the day during summers, or one summer I worked full-time at the pool, and then anyway, this summer I was working full-time at the pool, in the pool. So I was a lifeguard, for those of you who don't know, at my local pool, and I go out onto the deck, and a girl, we'll call her Kara, and Kara says, watch these 3 siblings, and points them out to me, because they've broken a lot of rules already. And she told them multiple times, like, you can't do that, you're breaking a rule, blah, blah, blah. They've had a lot of warnings, is the gist. 3 minutes into my, 3 minutes into my shift, one of those siblings dove. It was a boy, so the boy dove. In our pool, there is absolutely no diving. We're supposed to kick them out after one offense. Whether they've broken a bunch of rules or whether they first walk into the pool, dive in, we're supposed to kick them out because there's no diving in our pool whatsoever. It is very dangerous because the water is too shallow. So I tell him it's time to go change. I call him over and I'm like, it's time for you to go change. He's like, what? Why? And I'm like, I say it's time for you to leave because you've broken multiple rules and there's absolutely no diving in our pool whatsoever. And so I tell him it's time for you to go change. He swims over to what we call the wet deck, so it's like where people can eat food, like buy food from the concession and buy drinks and food and eat them on this wet deck. So it's basically just a deck that has access from the pool, if that makes sense. And that's where his mom and family was sitting, like the ones that weren't swimming, they were sitting on this wet deck. I tell Kara when she comes back on deck that that guy is kicked out and that if he gets back into the water to call us out and we'll get our manager involved and whatever. And I also told the guard that was in the guard room. So maybe it was Kara in the guard room and another guard on deck that came to get me, but I told all the guards on staff that he was kicked out and he was not to be back into the water. So at the end of my shift, at the end of any shift on deck, you have to walk through the change rooms to make sure that they're clean and tidy and that nobody in there needs help. My shift ends, I head into the change rooms and then into the guard room. The second I turn the corner into the change rooms, I see that family stand up and start to follow me. So in order to get to the front and in order to get to the wet deck, you need to go through the change rooms. I'm sitting in the guard room with Kara. I now remember it was Kara in the guard room and it was our male lifeguard that went on deck. I'm sitting in the guard room with Kara and we can hear this mom complaining to our current manager and the new manager that was in training because the current manager was leaving. Well, like quit, whatever. So we had 2 managers at that point in time because one was training and one was about to leave the job. And this mom is bitching and bitching and bitching about me, specifically me. And she was saying that she was from Calgary and that he was never talked to once, he didn't break any rules, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hey, whatever, like, you're lying. I know you're lying because I know who you are. And so the managers come to the back and our current manager, not the one in training, but the one who had been manager for at least a few months. They weren't the manager for a very long time, but I think maybe a year and a half. However, the current manager comes back and jokingly, or I thought jokingly, Kenzie, you're not making any friends out there, are you? I knew exactly what they were talking about, so I literally just turned around in the most sassy, like, voice I could, because I had had previous problems with this manager, like currently at that point. And I just looked at them and was like, nope. Like, no, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to enforce the rules. And all they say is, okay. So, she just complained. And I'm like, yes, I heard her. She was loud enough for everyone to hear. And you're going to go apologize. Let that sink in, guys. You are going to go apologize and tell him that he can go back in the water. I literally looked at them and I'm like, I'm not apologizing for enforcing the rules. Or maybe I just said I'm not apologizing. Like, I was not apologizing for doing my job. And then they say, yes, you are, or it will turn into another big social media blow up and you don't want to be involved in that, or something like that. And at the time, this is a whole nother story. At the time, there was a big media blow up because one of our guards was accused of being racist, and it was a blonde white guard, a female blonde white guard, and obviously I'm blonde, I am white, and I am female. Probably 80% of our female guards are blonde and white, so a lot of us were brought in and a lot of us were accused because the person who made the complaint on social media didn't know the name of the girl, so they just profiled her. And so a lot of us guards were accused, and we still were intended to show up to work. We still were intended to be put on blast on social media and have our reputations ruined, because our workplace would not make a statement defending, would not make a statement explaining the situation, like nothing. So a lot of us were being dragged through the dirt to begin with, and this is why, like, me and this manager were having such issues, along with other things, because this manager was not a good manager. But that was one of many issues I was having with this manager at the time. So I continued to go on to say, I'm already being brought up into this. And I go on to say that I would be brought up into it anyway. And they go on to say, yes, you would. And I say, I was so mad at this point, you guys. I say, good, because then I can just be done with this. And I walk out on deck. But when they came into the guard room, I was filling up the water thing to water the flowers. So I walked out on deck with my water pot, whatever it's called. And I walk up to the boy and I was like, hey. And I did not apologize. Like, I did not apologize. I just looked at him and I was like, if you break another rule, you will be told to leave. Again. But you're welcome to go back into the water. The manager in training, who is actually a really good friend of mine, was standing behind me and I didn't know it. So when I'm talking to this boy, I didn't realize I had a manager pretty much over my shoulder. And the boy literally just looks at me and says, we're leaving anyway. And I'm like, your mom just made this big deal that you were kicked out and you're leaving anyway. Like, literally people are so stupid. So I go on to water the plants and the manager in training walks up and asks what I said and what he said. So, like, basically asked what our conversation was. And the manager in training continues to thank me for doing that. Basically just like saying that it's just for the publicity and that we're trying to avoid another big social media blow up and blah blah blah. And she goes and talks to the mom, and they were right in front of the plant, so I was right in front of the mom. And she literally asks me what rules her kid broke. And I almost said all of them, because he broke pretty much every single rule that our pool has before I was on deck. And then when I was on deck, he broke the major rule. So, lady, get your kids under control and you won't be kicked out. But what I did end up saying was he broke a few of them. Before I was out on there, I was told by the prior guard that he broke a lot of rules, as well as the other kids in your party broke a lot of rules. So when he dove, which is a big no-no, and it is plastered all over our pool that there is no diving, I kicked him out. Plain and simple. And I said, like, the first rule he broke while I was on deck was diving. And that is what the rule he broke that got him kicked out, basically. And she goes on to tell me these excuses, like, he didn't do this, he didn't do that, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, diving is diving. I can't remember exactly what I said, but it was something along those lines, but diving is diving. And then she continues to say something else that pissed me off, but I can't remember exactly what she said. These are the notes from that day in my note app. I know you can't really see, but like, she said something else, pissed me off, but I can't remember what she said. I go back into the guard room after I finished watering the plants, and like I said, the manager in training thanked me for apologizing, even though I didn't apologizing. If you're watching this, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to you, not to the people. And the current manager said nothing. Like I said, me and this current manager had quite a bit of drama with each other at this point in time, and this manager tended to avoid me, tended to basically just avoid me, because this manager was almost done. This happened the last week they were there, so they really didn't give a shit anymore because they were leaving. But when the current manager was leaving, kind of gave me a little smile and was like, see you tomorrow, thanks for doing that. Literally say, deuces, see you at 9 a.m. because some days I work 9 to 5 and some days I work 7 to 3. So I was like, deuces, see you at 9 a.m. They said, yep, bright and early. The current manager proceeds to text me after work. Yeah, sorry, again, notes on my phone, so. The current manager proceeds to text me while I'm still working, but after they left, telling me to phone them when I'm done work and that it'll be quick. And I'm like, okay. So before I was even done work, I phoned them, and basically what they said was just explaining why they had me do that, and basically they apologized to me for making me do that, and saying that he was just using me as an example for the other two guards, which I don't understand. That the other two guards were not new guards. They had worked there for years, so why are you using me as an example for something that they already know? Like, I don't know. And they continue to say, I realize tempers can get fumes and no worries. Like, I never apologized to you. My temper was fumes, but I really don't care. You deserved my temper. Like, I just don't understand what they were meaning when they said that. Like, I never apologized for losing my temper on you. I don't really care that I lost my temper on you. Like, every guard that was working said that they didn't understand why they made me do that. Our aquatic supervisor at the time came into work when I was leaving, and we told him the situation, and he's like, I don't understand why they would make you do that either. So our supervisor, like manager and then supervisor and then guards, so the supervisor is like the in-between stage. Our supervisor also didn't realize why or understand why they would make me apologize. And anyway, the shift ended with the aquatic supervisor coming in, and we tell him what happened, what just happened, and he tells us that there is a creepy guy waiting outside. So I left with our cashier, who is a cute little lady, and he was still there when we left, which was creepy, like the creepy guy, not the kid that I kicked out. And as the family left, the kid I kicked out pulled the screamer. So the screamer is the barrier between a fire alarm. So you lift it up and it starts like blaring an alarm. And the mom was right there and said nothing and did nothing. Also, that mom made a Google review that had absolutely nothing to do with what happened. Like, she completely lied. She completely made shit up. Like, it was kind of hilarious how off topic and how much she lied in that review. Like, it was so, like, honestly just hilarious because it was so fabricated and so made up. Moral of this story is, number one rule at our pool is guards always have the other guard's back. I kicked somebody out, meaning all the guards have to reinforce that. They have to stand with me. They have to agree with me. Number one, I was head guard that day. So even though the people that told me to apologize were managers, I'm in charge of the pool that day. They're in charge of the staff. Somebody breaks a rule in the pool that I'm in charge of, I kick them out. That is me doing my job. So you're always supposed to have the guards back, which my manager did not. And number two, I should not have to apologize for enforcing the rules, for doing my job. What we're supposed to do is one dive and you're out. That has always been the rule. None of us follow that rule so strictly, but because I was told that he had broken several rules and I had seen him broken several rules from the guard room, I kicked him out. It's like if I fail a kid in swimming lessons and his mom complains, my manager's not gonna make me pass that kid. So why is it any different with a rule? The kid dove, he broke a rule, he's kicked out. Kid fails swimming lessons, he fails. Like, it's not that complicated. So many shitty things when this person was manager that happened because they sucked, number one, and then closer to the end of their job, they just didn't give a shit anymore. So they were even worse. So I have many stories of this person and of situations that I went through while this person was manager. So if you guys want more story times on that, definitely let me know. But that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.